Good morning, everybody. It is 10:04 and we do have a hard stop at 11 a.m. today. So I am going to go ahead and call this Oversight Committee meeting to order. I'm going to bring up our agenda very quickly. It is a very light agenda today. I wanted to take this opportunity to bring everyone together just to have some brief updates on the status of both the independent incident investigation and safety culture assessments. So we have Scott Berger here, who is the selected consultant for both of these activities. And he has with him his associates, Tim Maloney, who worked with him on the incident investigation, and Kenan Stevick, who worked with him on the safety culture assessment. Just as a reminder, we will have our report out first, then we will open it up to comment from the Oversight Committee members, and then we will take public comments for 2 minutes from each member of the public who would like to comment. So please hold any questions that you may have until that time. All right, so we will start now with our open issues. So Scott, I will turn it over to you for an update. Thank you. Oh, Scott, you're on mute.
Okay, there we go. Well, thank you, Nicole. Let me start with the independent investigation. As you know, version 1 had been circulated to all of you for your comments to the Oversight Committee. That is, we received the equivalent of 89 comments to be resolved. Now, of that, there were actually 78 comments submitted, but several of the people who commented rolled all their comments into one. So we split those apart in order to make it easier to record and track the individual comments. So that made it increase the number. The comments came in mostly written, but there were some oral comments made during the last Oversight Committee meeting. And we included the oral comments that had not been made previously as written comments. So there were some that were duplicate, and we didn't repeat those. Now we found that quite a few of the comments were essentially just repeating or restating points that were made in that version 1 report, and so there was nothing we needed to do in that regard. Of the other comments, we are certainly grateful for everything that was received. Some comments, made us realize that perhaps our explanation wasn't clear enough, and that helped us improve the text, the language that we used. And similarly, some comments were editorial in nature, and again, that was very useful to us. And overall, all of your comments helped us improve the report, so we thank you for that. We have sent version 2 of the report with all the changes that have been made and the tracking of our response to these comments. That has been sent over to MRC. I think that was as of the night before last, for a 2-day review for confidential business information, and that's per our agreement with the non-disclosure agreement between myself and MRC. And so pretty soon that should be complete, hopefully. And then I guess the path forward is something that Nicole will address. And perhaps I'll pause here, and Nicole, if you'd like to address that at this time.
Great, thank you, Scott. Yes, so to discuss the next steps for the incident investigation report, first and foremost, to all of you who are on the meeting here today, I want to thank you for your comments at our last meeting in February on the 2nd, when Scott made his presentation to the Oversight Committee of the incident investigation. I know we've had a couple of other meetings since then where this topic of the incident investigation report have come up, and I really want everyone to know that while we still have not opened up our public notice period for this report and posted that draft for the public. We really did hear what you had said. And as Scott mentioned, a lot of the iterations that have been going back and forth in this time period since the second have really been focused on ensuring that the report was clear for all of you to understand what had happened. We wanted to make sure that, as we were addressing comments, we did any technical fact seeking that needed to be done, raised around, technical components of the report. And, we worked with Scott very closely on all of those items. And so we do really appreciate your patience. And, now that we've moved on to this next step, once we have confirmation that their report has been reviewed by MRC, then we will start heading into what we call our public notice period. And just a reminder, that will be a 45-day period where the draft public version of the report will be posted, and the public will have an opportunity to make a comment on that report in multiple ways. One is during that 45-day public comment period, you may send a written letter or email to our office. And then we also will be scheduling a public meeting where Scott will give a presentation on the report, and we will be taking public comments at that time. As with our process, we will respond to every single comment that we receive on the report. And then after that is done, if there are any adjustments that need to be made to the report, as well as appending every single comment and response, will be done before we have a draft report of that report, which will be presented to the board and City of Martinez. And again, I just want to thank everybody, for their comments and patience as we work through this process. We really wanted to ensure that we were addressing every single comment and making sure that we provided that clarity. So thank you, Scott, and I'll turn it back over to you to talk about the safety culture assessment.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. Yes, we really do appreciate the comments. Sometimes they agree with us, sometimes they don't. But regardless, it gives us an opportunity to make sure that we are communicating in the most clear manner, so that it is quite valuable. Moving on to the culture assessment, as you know, I think we reported the last time the on-site part of the work was delayed for about a month, and mainly because of myself. I contracted COVID and didn't want to bring it to the county. But we did have the on-site meetings with MRC and review of documents and so on March 4th to 6th. We actually delayed our closeout meeting to follow up on a couple of items, and actually closed out with the MRC leadership team the afternoon of March 18th. So what we were trying to do in our on-site work, and this is spelled out in our proposal, was we wanted to understand the leadership processes that MRC uses to drive their process safety management system, and therefore establish their process safety culture. And let me just sort of summarize the findings at a very high level. First of all, we found that MRC has quite a few of the leadership processes and attributes that are needed, or that would be needed, to drive a strong process safety culture. And this agreed in a lot of ways with the safety culture survey that MRC had put together. We did find, for example, just some things that we found that were on the stronger side, was their management systems for what we call pressure integrity equipment. So the equipment that has to hold high pressure, and in making sure that equipment is tested, inspected, and maintained. And we thought that was quite good. Their emergency management and training for emergency response was also quite strong. And they had an overall strong process for reviewing the management system elements that they were, that they were tracking. And they basically were the schedule of meetings and follow-up was also quite good. And so those kinds of things, those kinds of behaviors are the things I think that will support the next round of improvements that I think will need to be made. We did identify a few improvement areas. I'm not going to talk about them yet. We need to really put pen to paper and explain that in much in good detail for all of you. So we'll hold off of that until the next meeting. But what we will say is that where we did find improvement opportunities, we didn't find any inconsistencies with what we found in the investigation. So I think that's probably the high level summary there. We're hoping to get the version 1 part of our report done by the middle of April. So at that point, we would be able to get a draft to you for your review. And Nicole, again, I'll turn that back to you for talking about the next steps.
Great. Thank you very much, Scott. So yes, just a quick reminder to everybody of what the next steps are from here. Once that draft report is sent over to the Oversight Committee, the Oversight Committee members will have an opportunity to review that draft report and comment on the report. We will also then have a meeting where Scott and Kenan will be able to present out the results of the report and the safety culture review that they did at an Oversight Committee meeting. I did also want to assure everybody that we heard the community at our last meeting on February 2nd. So we will also ensure that we have a draft version of this report posted online ahead of the meeting for the community to review, with the understanding that that presentation will just be for Oversight Committee comments to be addressed. And then we will move forward to our next part of the process, which is having the public report and public notice period set up with a public meeting, and then continuing the process until we have a final report, as we did for the risk assessment and also as we are currently doing right now for the incident investigation. So thank you very much, Scott. I will make a note to be looking out for that report sometime in mid-April. And I believe that concludes our status update, unless you had anything additional you wanted to add.
Nothing further at this time. I know there'll be questions and we'll do our best to answer them.
Thank you so much, Scott. In terms of next steps, I don't have anything additional on next steps for both of these report processes. Knowing the timing that we have been given, we will look at when is most appropriate to schedule a next Oversight Committee meeting. It sounds like we might do one in late April or early May just to give a status update, and then there will be one sometime around that time period as well to do the presentation. But we will work on that, and as always, we will ensure that that is communicated out through our website and to those members who are on our constant contact list. So with that, I'm going to open it up first to the Oversight Committee to see if they have any comments or questions that they'd like to pose to Scott and his team or to myself, and then we'll move to our public comment period. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands from members of the Oversight Committee. So for those of you who are members of the public, please raise your hand if you would like the opportunity to make a comment. Just a reminder, again, the comment period is for 2 minutes. I see one hand raised right now. So Kayla, if you could please promote Alicia, and we will start her public comment period.
Yes, sorry. Okay. Okay, you should be able to speak and your timer will start now.
Okay, thank you. My name is Alicia G'day and I'm with Healthy Martinez. I have 3 questions that we would like addressed. First, did the independent root cause analysis include opening up the FCC unit to inspect the physical condition of its slide valves? And if so, what were the results of that inspection? Our second question, did the independent root cause analysis identify the timing of the most recent inspection of the FCC unit slide valves during a unit maintenance shutdown, the results of that inspection, and the most recent repair or replacement of FCC unit slide valves? And third, during any inspection at the facility, did the county staff review any material regarding inspection of the FCC slide valves, findings regarding slide valve erosion or needs for maintenance or repair, or the plans for slide valve inspections or repairs? Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Scott, I will turn it over to you for the first two questions, and then I can address the third one.
Okay, and perhaps Tim, would you like to handle that one? You're muted, Tim.
That'll make a difference.
Yes,
Can
thank
you hear
you.
me now?
Yes, sir.
Great. Alicia, those are great questions, especially whenever an FCC unit's involved, right? And so when we perform investigations, one of the big things to do is just always follow the evidence. In this case, there's a couple of reasons that the unit wasn't shut down and taken apart to inspect that slide valve. One, of course, obviously, is you increase the risk of something going wrong. But the big thing is that when we looked at the data, there was no indication that that slide valve was malfunctioning in a way that would be affected by mechanical integrity. Typically, those valves, and I think this is maybe what triggered the question, is they tend to erode over time. And so as you get near the end of a run, that can be one of the reasons, like what happened at the ExxonMobil facility south of San Francisco. Anyway, where that valve erodes and then you get reverse flow through it. And that actually wasn't what we saw here. Is a different type of scenario. And so, both the fact that the unit was running and the fact that the evidence didn't lead us to go that direction, we did not do any inspection on that. It wouldn't have been feasible. Scott, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
I think the other piece of Alicia's question was that when was it inspected last? And my understanding is it was replaced in the 2018 turnaround, but and it wouldn't be inspected again until the next turnaround, I think, which is 2025, and at that point it would just be replaced.
Mm-hmm. And then the third part of that question really goes back to the county.
Right.
All right, thank you. Yes, so thank you so much, Alicia, for your question. Unfortunately, we have our supervisor of the External Release Prevention Engineering Group is on vacation, and a majority of our team is at a conference right now for process safety. So what I can commit to is having the answer documented in the meeting minutes, because I do not have all of the details of what our team has looked at. But I did pose the question out to them to, see if I would be able to get an answer right now for you. But, we have been to the facility many times, most recently for the unannounced inspection, which had a deep focus on mechanical integrity. And we are currently conducting our triannual audit there. And so we will be able to let you know the full details of what was looked at by our team when looking at those programs, specifically around the FCC slide valves and the results of our audit. Okay, I see that Wendy has her hand up. Kayla, if we can please promote her and start her time period.
Sure. Okay, Wendy, you should be able to come off mute, and I'll start the timer now.
Thank you so much. I think I just have a follow-up. I'm Wendy Kay with Healthy Martinez. Just a follow-up question to Alicia's. Can we have information about that 2018 turnaround and what was actually done? I think whether it's going to be in this root cause analysis or separately. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Wendy. I have noted your question, and I will work with our team to, again, once we are able to more clearly, verbalize what was looked at during our unannounced inspection or audit, we'll be able to include that in the meeting minutes and have those posted online. Okay, next I see Jan Warren.
Okay, Jan, you should be able to come off mute, and I'm starting the timer now.
Good morning. I just want to also do a follow-up. What sort of time frame do you anticipate the answers from the engineer team that you mentioned? Is that going to be the next advisory oversight meeting, or are you going? How are you going to get that information back to the oversight team?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Jan. So I am working with the team. I'm hoping to have everything, answered by Monday, which will allow me to incorporate that into the meeting minutes of this meeting, which we typically post online within a week of the oversight meeting occurring. I can also see if we can work to get an e-blast out so that everybody knows when those meeting minutes are posted. And then again, just to ensure that we close the loop when we have our next oversight committee meeting, we can also make sure that we verbalize it then. But you will not have to wait until the next meeting for those answers. They will be incorporated into the meeting minutes. Okay, do we have any additional members from the public who would like to make a comment? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands raised. I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and thank you to Scott and your team members for being here to provide an update on the work that you are doing. We are working on getting that public notice opened. If you are not part of our email blast list, I would really encourage everyone to go to cchealth.org/hazmat/MRC. If you scroll to the very bottom of the page on the left-hand side, you will see a box that says sign up for updates. If you ensure that you join that list, you will be notified of any upcoming public meetings and public notices. We will also be working to get the word out on social media and through all of our avenues to ensure that you do not miss that meeting as it's coming up. I'm hoping that we will be able to do that very shortly for that incident investigation meeting. And again, please look for the meeting minutes so that we can ensure that, we have the answers documented for the questions posed and provide an answer from Contra Costa Health Hazmat on that third question related to the FCC slide valves and inspections. And with that, I look forward to seeing everyone at our next Oversight Committee, and thank you all for attending, and thank you to the members of the Oversight Committee for all the work you're doing.
Thank you, Nicole.